how I run my business differently, like I try to run it from a morality standpoint. And the way I set it up from the beginning is we do all inbound marketing. So we're not going out, and there's nothing wrong with outbound marketing, but we have people who come to us through our inbound marketing. We run Google Ads, PPC. And then I think another thing that sets us apart is our sales process. So we're not being aggressive on the phone. We're not saying, do you want to do this, yes or no? Do you need to sell your house, yes or no? You need to sell to me. You know what I mean? The old kind of sales process. And the more efficient you can make your process, like if you have a bunch of different processes, it's so hard to like teach that and follow that, and especially manage that. And we basically just have a streamlined process to like, once the lead is qualified, it's transferred to the closer. So that's how that works.
Is the goal to replace yourself as the closer?
Yes. If you know anybody looking for a job, a high commission job, we're definitely hiring.
All right, welcome back to another episode of The Flip Side with me, your host, Blake Schultz. Today, I've got a new friend and fellow real estate, I guess, person in the industry, but Erik Schaefer?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, I'm saying that right. I should ask you before to make sure I was pronouncing it right. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, so we met, we I guess didn't meet, but kind of saw each other about a year ago on the trails. Didn't know that we did. And then fast forward, I guess we have a mutual friend who mentioned you to me, and then ended up we getting coffee, and then saw each other at a race a couple weeks ago. So don't know each other well, but I've heard bits and pieces of your story. I'm pretty excited to dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great meeting you so far. You've been a huge, just inspiration as well. So
nice. Well, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've got. I really want to dive in. So give us a kind of 60-second pitch of who you are, what you do, what your business looks like.
So I'm 25 years old, and basically what I do, I run a wholesale real estate company. So basically what that is you put a property under contract, you sell that contract for a fee into your pool of buyers, and on top of that, I also do endurance races, fitness races, things like that. And that's where we met, and I've got a huge passion for that as well.
I love that. Okay, yeah. Real quick story. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, yeah.
I haven't really ran much this year, so this is my excuse. I'm going ahead and just setting it up for. So I finished the race. It took me right at 2 hours, 2 hours and 1 minute, something like that. And I knew you were doing it. Didn't see you out there at the start, but there's 300 people there. Sitting around at the end, and about 30 minutes after I finished, you just come flying across the finish line, and I was like, "There is no way," because we both killed it last year.
Yeah.
And so I was like, there's no, something's wrong. He's hurt. And you came up, you're like, dude, I slept in an hour late and got up here, started the race an hour late, and just finished in an hour and a half. And I was like, are you kidding me? An hour and a half? You were flying, absolutely flying. So, yeah, that's
that was
amazing.
A very chaotic morning. I remember I woke up, I set my alarm and everything. I took these sleep gummies. I've never take sleep gummies. And it was a supplement company.
Before a race?
Yeah, I was like, why not try something right before I first do it? And I ate them the night before. I know I set my alarm. I wear an Apple Watch, and I rolled over on it, turned my alarm off. At least that's my excuse.
Yeah.
And I showed up an hour late, so I was like, I might as well just sprint the whole thing.
Which is, that's easy to say, but 1,700 feet of elevation? I mean, 9 miles, insane. So
yeah, it was 85 awesome. Degrees, 90 degrees.
So hot. Got Ridge to Blazing Ridge coming up in a couple of weeks. Are you doing that?
I'm doing the triathlon on the 23rd.
Buster Britton? Yeah, it's the same day.
Yeah, I know.
Same day, same location.
Yeah, it's the North Lake and the South Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. So you won't embarrass me on the trails. Because that's the race that we did together last year, or unknowingly, isn't it?
It was the Hotter in Hell race.
Or it was hot. Okay.
The 18 mile.
Okay,
yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Man, that's crazy. Okay. Well, let's back up a little bit. So you just got out of, was it 8 years in the Marines?
Yeah, 8 years in the Marine Corps. I joined right after high school.
Okay. Yeah. And what I don't know a ton about the Marines in general. So tell me division-wise, what were you doing? Where were you?
I was force reconnaissance was my job. And basically I was right out of high school, went to training for 2 years. I set my contract up as a reserve, so it's a 2 and 6. So basically I was gone for 2 years for training for my job. And college was a huge thing in my life. I needed to go to college. I'm sure a lot of people in Vestavia. My family really wanted me to go to college. So I was like, okay, I'll do the Marine Corps because I know I can do it now. And then I'll also go into college at the same time. And I did 2 years of training, and then right after that training, I started college, and I was just going weekends, or really 1 week at a time, to the Marine Corps, and then I was going to college for the next 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of balancing.
A lot of balance. I would not recommend it. You do one or the other. It was my recommendation.
But how much did the learning of having to juggle that, set you up for the successful business you have now?
It was really kind of just the discipline of, because I needed the Marine Corps, like I needed to go to the military to like give myself a direction, and balancing that with a normal life in school. It's kind of like you have to flip that on switch or flip it off. And having that has really helped me in my business of being really structured, because if I didn't have that structure and I didn't have that direction, I would not be able to do what I do in my business. Because in a business, especially as an entrepreneur, you have to be structured. Because, when you first start, you don't really know what you're doing. Yeah. You lack structure when you first start a business. And it really, those two things, college and the Marine Corps, really gave me structure and taught me how to build structure. Yeah.
What'd you study?
Building science at Auburn University.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You went to Auburn?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at switching into building science after my second year, because I was in just general business.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of grew up around construction. I like construction. I like getting my hands dirty and just going out there and working. And so I met with the counselors. What would it look like? And it would have put me, I think, 3 semesters behind, and just more than 4 years of college wasn't an option for me. And so
I don't blame you.
yeah. And so it was like, well, okay, that ship sailed. And I'm kind of, I'm thankful that it did now. Of course, you can always say I'm here now because of what I did, whatever. But looking back, I've had a lot of friends in that program. A few of them, are work for themselves. Majority of them are working for Brassfield and Gorey, Hort Construction, the big guys, and they're just climbing the ladder. And that I'm so glad I didn't get stuck in that, cycle, and eventually get the golden handcuffs, and I don't know. I'm glad I didn't go into that. So looking back, I ended up getting into construction after anyways. Now it was getting paid $6 an hour for a builder and doing literally all the
Grunt
labor.
work.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But I learned how to build kind of the hard way. Now I can't go build a hospital, but I can build a house, and that kind of kind of went into where we're at now. But anyways, so that was a small little snippet of my story there.
Yeah.
But all right, so you've got a wholesaling business. We're gonna go into what wholesaling is. If you're watching this podcast and don't know, go search the internet.
Look at any video on YouTube and type in wholesaling, and it'll tell you what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wholesaling in general, I like what the very little I know about your business, because it is set up as a business. It's not. I'll give you a quick story. I did a little development in the South Side, and I had he was a kid, call me. He goes, "Hey man, I've got a house for sale, and I think it's near a development you're doing." And it was the one next door. We've already tried to buy it. It's a tear down, 100%. There's no fixing this house. And it's 2019-ish.
Still in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was we were willing to overpay $40,000 for it. And it would basically be to it's an eyesore, get it out of the way, and we may could extend one more townhouse on the stretch of 7 we were doing. And so that was the number for me. The guy had it forever. He paid $30,000 20 years ago for it, so he didn't know anything. And he had done work, but not really. It was a teardown. And this kid came, and he was like, "Hey, I've got this deal. Do you want to meet?" And I was just like, "This is gonna be entertaining." So yeah, let's meet. He comes and he goes, "Yeah, we've got this house. I want to sell it." He had no idea what he was doing, and he was like, "Yeah, it's $150,000." I was like, "Okay. Do you have like a contract, or what does it look like?" He goes, "Oh yeah." Pulls out of his pocket, unfolds it's crumpled up, folded up, unfolds the first page of our 8-page Birmingham Association of Realtors contract that has 2 of 31 paragraphs and labeled, and he just has the first page, so he just has the 2.
Okay.
And he goes, "Here's the contract." And I was like, okay.
Your realtor brain was probably going insane at this time.
I wanted to say so much, but I was trying to keep my cool.
Yeah.
And
you probably wanted the deal too.
Well, I just like, you have no idea what you're doing. And I think wholesalers get a bad rap in general because the barrier to entry is 0. Like anyone can go do it. It's kind of the wild, wild west. And I want to talk about that on what you're seeing on if there's rules and stuff coming in, guidelines and guardrails for it. But from a realtor, I think I'm a little different because I understand the world. I invest. I respect people who do it correctly. but most agents only hear the bad side of what a wholesaler is, and so the name is just kind of tarnished a little bit.
Yep.
So with all that and that backstory, I want to hear how you're set up, why you're different, and let's just go into how you run it as a business, not as a pocket contract.
Yeah, as you said, wholesaling is the Wild West. Honestly, real estate as a whole is the Wild West. I think there's been a lot of regulation going into wholesaling. It's kind of throwing some curveballs in the business, but I think it's also necessary because, like I said, it needs regulation. Wholesaling is kind of the armpit of real estate, you can almost say, just because there's just like, again, no regulation. But how I run my business differently, like I try to run it from a morality standpoint. And the way I set it up from the beginning is we do all inbound marketing. So we're not going out, and there's nothing wrong with outbound marketing, but we have people who come to us through our inbound marketing. We run Google Ads, PPC. And then I think another thing that sets us apart is our sales process. So we're not being aggressive on the phone. We're not saying, do you want to do this? Yes or no? Do you need to sell your house? Yes or no? You need to sell to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. The old kind of sales process. Yeah. And what sets us apart, I think, is our sales. We're a consultant. We're guiding these people through a process as a consultative approach. We're not telling them they need to do this. We're not telling them what they have to do. We're asking them questions and guiding them through self-persuasion is what it's called. Mm-hmm. And I feel like with that and also having great talent on your team can really set you apart in the business.
Mm-hmm. So let's go back on how you got into, like, how was that even, was it just a Google search for you and you're like, I'm getting into it? Or what was the lead in to this business now?
That's a good question. I could give you like some kind of like long answer to that, but basically the non-cool answer is I was doing homework in my bedroom in college at a house I had, and I realized I did not want to be in college anymore. And going the realtor route really stuck out to me, and then a wholesaling video popped up and house flipping. And I looked at this wholesaling video and I was like, you can make the same money as flipping a house, but at the same time, it's a 30-day span. You don't have any risk. And like I said, you get paid in 30 days. It was just a much simpler business model. And I'm huge on being efficient. And that's what I look for. And so it just stuck out to me, and I just started learning about it.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like self-taught online learning, or did you go courses, books, anything?
It was.
Or do they? I don't even know if those exist.
Yeah, they have a lot of courses now. Yeah. Everybody's a wholesale guru now. He's not. Yeah. Right. As I said, look on YouTube, you'll find them. Yeah. But I mostly learned like YouTube University for the first year, and then as I got more serious about it, because I didn't really care to build like a full wholesaling business. I was just doing it for income, and then I was going to get into like investing and things like that. Mm-hmm. So after I realized the money that you can make and how simple the business is and how efficiently you can run it, I started looking at courses. And a friend of mine that I met here locally in Birmingham, you probably know him, and he told me what he was doing with this mentorship. So I joined that mentorship, and after that, like my business exploded. Nice. Because they give you the blueprint of exactly what you need to do. Mm-hmm. And you're not just, as an entrepreneur, you're not just blindly walking through the process. Yeah. So.
Man, that's huge. That's something I lacked just from, again, just being a slow learner, of not realizing like, hey, if I got a mentor, then I could expedite and skip 5 years of failing up. And I didn't. And so it took me a long time to figure that out. Now it's like I try to have a coach and an assistant for every aspect of my life. Just realizing like, wow, if I could learn from someone else's mistakes, I could literally skip years of learning. So kudos to you for realizing that quickly.
Yeah.
And getting there. Okay, so how long did it take to hire your first hire?
It was probably about a year and a half. I was just bootstrapping the business for about a year and a half, doing everything. And if you're doing everything in your business, you're not going to like every portion of your business. But it took me about a year and a half. It was a virtual assistant, and she's actually still with me today. She's a rock star. Nice. And I hired her because I realized I was spending 90% of my time making the calls. So basically what her job was is the junior acquisitions. So she'll basically be making all the calls, qualifying the leads, and then she does nothing but bring me the warm leads. So I spend my time closing the deals, not finding the deals.
Okay. Yeah. Do you feel like that's your unique ability is getting on the phone, being personable with somebody, and then getting them to the closing table?
I feel like my unique ability, it's funny you say that, it's an EOS thing. I feel like my unique ability is sales and then solving problems.
Yeah.
So if I see something in the business, I look at it from a 30,000 foot view, and I'm able to like point out those problems and problem solve with like critically thinking through it. So I feel like that's my unique ability is, like I said, sales and solving those problems.
Yeah. Okay. So acquisition came on first. Do you have people, like not all VAs, right?
Yeah, I have local people as
Okay.
well.
So how big's the team now?
5 people, including myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what are the roles that you started to replace yourself out of as you went? So VA with acquisitions first, or I guess the lead, is that what you call it?
Acquisitions or junior acquisitions.
Okay.
Yeah. The first one was obviously the junior acquisitions to take away the calls. And I pretty much completely hired out Dispo because that's where the messy part of the business is, as far as like selling the deals, making sure the sellers, because the sellers are very emotional, carrying them through the process. So I hired out dispositions. I have 3 on dispositions right now. One's a junior and 2 are disposition managers. And like I said, I basically hired myself out of dispositions. Right now, all I'm doing is running the acquisition and the sales at the moment.
Okay.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you see? I'm sure you're balanced, but it's always a balancing. There's never a perfectly balanced acquisition and disposition side. Is that seasonal, or do you see like more leads come in a certain amount of time? Dispo guys are slower. How do you balance that?
So your question is like, how does the lead flow change seasonally?
Yeah. I guess 2 parts. Do you see that change, and then how do you balance when one's up or one's down?
Well, in my business, it's definitely a lot slower. Like from after Thanksgiving all the way till like the second week of January is like almost a dead zone. So everything that you get is coming from October and the beginning of November, and it's really slow then. And that's something I really learned about that. I'm glad you brought that up, because when times are slow, it's easy to kind of just, not really do what you need to do, like the boring stuff of the business, basically. Going in the CRM and making sure you're making your calls, because your money's in the follow-up too. It's not just in the new leads.
Right.
And just making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to as far as following up with the leads, going in the CRM, doing the boring things that, like I said, you don't want to do. And there's also money to be made there. So when the leads are not coming in, you find work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is part of that acquisitions manager's job the junior what's her name?
Everly.
Everly. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call her Everly.
Yeah. That's a little bit less of a mouthful.
Is part of her role that continue follow up as well, or does that just kind of fall to the side as new stuff and you're just doing that, and then when you are slow you go back to that, or do you have a system for that follow up?
It's dynamic. So when we have new leads, obviously new leads come first. She's tackling those new leads, and when she's done with that, it goes immediately in the follow up. So she has a process of like, she follows up with all the leads that came in the last 30 days that are uncontacted, and she'll use those with like single dials because there's not that many that came in the past 30 days. And then she'll use a dialer for the other leads. We have like 4,000 leads in the system. So she does, to answer your question, she does have a process of what that looks like after she tackles the new leads.
Okay. What's a dialer?
It is basically a way to speed up your dialing. So, on your cell phone, you have to type in every number. There's softwares out there to where you can just have a list of phone numbers. It uploads them into that dialer, and it can dial 3 lines at a time. And at first one that picks up, it automatically hangs up the other 2. And then it's basically a way to make a lot more calls a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, really?
No, I've heard of the word dialer, but I didn't know like that's how it operates. So I'm just going through, like yesterday I made a bunch of calls, but I had like each one, I'm like, okay, well, who is this? What's the notes on them? Where's their address? Let me do like 60 seconds of kind of back knowing who I'm calling. You can't do that here, or you just got to memorize 3 and then just know like this one picked, and then or is the script the same?
It's pretty much all the same,
Okay.
just because we separate our leads by lists, so we know who we're calling. Like, it's going to be a follow-up list.
Okay.
So she knows exactly what to say.
Do you say, hey, it's Everly, I'm just following back up. I know we talked 3 months ago about your house. How's everything going? It's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she obviously has a different script for new leads. I don't really like scripts too much. I used to be really big on scripts, and it felt robotic.
Yep.
And now it's
dry.
more of a framework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that just emphasizes the importance to have the right person in that seat, because if they can't hold a conversation, you're not going to close deals, right?
Exactly.
But let's put that as a question, because if she's just kind of the first vet and then if she gets anything besides a no, then it goes to you, and you have that conversation?
So that depends on whether it's a new lead or follow-up. Like once the lead we have a qualifying criteria, and it stays in her bucket until they're qualified. So once they're qualified, then she either sets an appointment or live transfers to me, and that's when I go in for the close.
Okay.
So everything is the same, and like I said, this comes back to efficiency. The more efficient you can make your process, like if you have a bunch of different processes, it's so hard to like teach that and follow that, and especially manage that. And we basically just have a streamlined process to like once the lead is qualified, it's transferred to the closer. Mm-hmm. So that's how that works.
Is the goal to replace yourself as the closer?
Yes. If you know anybody looking for a job, a high commission job, we're definitely hiring.
Okay.
So that's my next hire.
Okay.
And that's gonna be my most exciting hire.
Yeah. So when you I got so many questions around this.
Yeah.
All right. So how much of your day to day, like hour per day, is as that closer, or per week?
60%, 70%,
Okay.
most of it. So
Wow.
that's why I'm saying that hire would be huge for me.
Wow. You're gonna have so much free time when you
I know. I'm not gonna know what to do.
start training more.
Yeah.
Well, so that goes into my next question: is realistically, what is that next rung of the ladder, if you will? Of okay, you replace yourself as the closer. So now, the other thing that it sounds like the other part of your job is just problem solving and figuring things out. That's maybe still just 30% or maybe less as you just continue to build systems and get more efficient. So what's the ideal day for you work-wise?
To be in my unique ability, like I said in the beginning, is basically looking at I love teaching people things. I love teaching people sales, and I also love problem solving, like I said. So after I make that hire, yes, I'll have a lot more time on my hands, but I'll have way more time to actually look at the business and be like, okay, this is an issue. We need to fix this. Hey, and then also just be able to share what I've learned about sales to these people, because I love seeing that aha moment when someone learns something, or I teach them something and they don't think it's going to work, and they come back like, oh, what? I just closed this deal because of that. So that's what my day will consist of, is just teaching the team, stepping more into the leadership role, which is new to me because, I had a few leadership roles in the military, but nothing where I'm managing like a 5 and, in the next year or so, probably a 10-man team.
Yeah. So
that's going to be really exciting for me. That's what I'm really pumped up about.
That's awesome. Well, I love the military experience you have of that structure and that leadership. It's, again, I was not in the military, but from what I know about it, it is very structured. It's very tiered from a leadership standpoint, right? And so that's kind of how you're building your business. As you started and then you replace yourself as the acquisitions and disposition, right? And you just continue to build up and replace yourself until eventually you're basically, once you get yourself out of the closer role, you're going into the more of the CEO role, right?
Kind of the owner's box is what they call it, but yeah, exactly.
Okay. But eventually you want to get yourself out of that. Because I, in my mind, I separate CEO and owner's box. CEO is you're still there day to day. You're still putting out fires, you're still training, you're still teaching. Mm-hmm. You can get yourself out of that box too, into the owner's box up here is what I think.
Yep.
And then you don't know what happens Tuesday at 10 a.m. You do, but you don't know what call, you don't know what closes, right? That's the CEO's job. And then you're up here and you say, okay, my wholesaling business is killing it. And you know what? What if I start to hire out and open a little flipping arm of it, right? Or whatever it is. Because in the wholesaling box, we haven't talked yet, but I've got shiny object syndrome pretty bad. And
I'm right there with you.
If I'm you and a killer deal in Homewood comes across my desk, I'm a wholesaler, I'm not selling that deal. I'm keeping it. So how do you, anyway, so that I see a lot of opportunity there. If that's the direction you want to go, maybe it's not, maybe it's just, we're going to build wholesaling and be the biggest in the country and then go for it. There's a lot of value in that too. Okay. So a lot of thoughts there. Is that on your brain at all, or is it just put me in the CEO's seat and let's go?
I don't, and this kind of goes against my personality, but I don't want to be the biggest wholesaler in the U.S. I really just want to get it to a certain point to where it's scaled, and I have the team that I want in place, and then just like you said, branch out. And my goal is to take that active income and invest it in commercial properties. Yeah. Not too much flipping. I had my fair share of flipping, and I do like to flip every now and then, but I will never be a full-time flipper again. I went through that, and it's just doesn't fit me very well. Yeah. But to answer your question, yes, I plan to optimize the wholesale business and then start branching out into other businesses is really my goal here.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. That similar how I'm set up. I mean, me and my family live off selling real estate, but also if there's any disposable or extra income that comes from that, it is reinvested into now the commercial space. It was for years, buying a flip or buying small rentals or a little bit of development, but now it's just commercial, just big commercial. What's the biggest, most expensive, nicest thing I can buy now? Get it paid off in 20 years, it appreciates, and we're set up. Right.
You're exactly where I want to go. I had my fair share of single family, and I'm ready to get into commercial.
Yep.
So that's my next step.
Yeah. Because if you look at it, I mean, I had some fantastic residential deals, but if I had the same margins that I had on a $300,000 house on a $3 million deal, I could retire. Right.
Yep.
Essentially. Now I wouldn't, but so that's just, again, slow learner. I realized that just a number of years ago, not that long ago. So you said you're 25.
25, yeah.
I mean, dude, just go, right?
Yeah.
I'm 35, and it took me way too long to figure that out. So yeah, just stack the cash and just put it towards that. That's awesome.
That's what a wholesaling business is. I almost wouldn't even consider it's a business, but it's more of a cash flow machine.
Yeah.
Like a real business, you can build it and sell it. Like you're not really selling a wholesale business. You can try. There's people that have heard of done it in the past, but it's really just a cash flow machine to stack away cash for other businesses or for other investments.
Well, let's explore that a little bit because I've, in the past couple of years, kind of gone a deep dive into buying existing businesses versus because I've bootstrapped all.
That's exciting. I definitely want to dive into that.
Yes. So wholesale, I would say very, very similar to a realtor's business where many of them are not built as a business. It's built on relationships that is dependent on Blake Schultz.
Mm-hmm.
And the relationships die with him when he dies, and it was a great business. Now it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Wholesaling may be a little bit more like that. Maybe it's less relational because you have clients for life, but it's not ran as a business. Yours is set up as a business where you have systems and processes and the right people in the right seat. To me, that's sellable, right? If you can have 4 or 5 years of a P&L and a balance sheet that shows, hey, you're up here in this owner's box, so it's not dependent on your day-to-day actions, and you've got the CEO seat and everyone that filters out under them that it just runs. Well, you're up here. You just go sell that at a multiple, and anyone can sit up here because it's not dependent on their actions.
Right.
I think that's huge.
Dude, that's just making light bulbs go off on my head left and right. So like I mentioned EOS earlier, and that just like sprouted EOS in my head. And it's exactly what you said. Like if you can systematize and process or like record all your processes in a business, it is so much more valuable. Like if you, and that's the thing with the real estate team, it's hard to sell that business because you are the business. Like you can't walk away from that.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. And I think it kind of brings me to my next point. I want to like jump ahead, but like with this AI process and putting AI and systematizing the business more, I feel like that's going to make businesses way more valuable as well.
Are you using AI now?
Yeah.
Okay. In what aspect?
So we're using an AI software to manage our sales team. When I say sales team, it's just myself and Everly at the moment. But basically what we're doing is it's an AI software that listens to, records, and scores every single call. And so this AI software, there's a lot of softwares out there, but ours specifically was built by sales trainers and software engineers. And that's the biggest thing because AI is not smart unless you give it data to learn from the algorithm. So right now we're using AI to manage our sales team, and I could go on rants about this. I love this subject.
Well, let's do it.
Okay.
I want to dive in because I had Austin McMillan on, and he runs an outsourced accounting company, and he's got a CPA on staff, and they just small businesses. They just run all the accounting for him.
Okay.
But they also not just accounting. They're not just a bookkeeper, but they dive into a lot of aspects of their business and kind of planning and growth. And what they're doing is not ignoring AI because eventually that's going to replace bookkeepers. He sees that coming because that's just a repeatable process. And so they're bringing it in their system as well, and their guys are using it just to do the simple, repeatable processes, right? And I love that. And so for y'all on a sales call, walk me through the specifics of if you're willing to dive into that. Like, how does that integrate into the sales side of the business?
It's really cool. So if you run a sales team, like at the bloodline of every business is marketing and sales, specifically sales. And where you can catch a lot of revenue that goes out the window is through mistakes made in sales. Now, if you think about AI, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't get tired, it doesn't get pregnant, it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't get sick or whatever.
Yep.
So constantly, it's always listening to your calls. And an easy thing to do in sales is, salespeople are competitive. Sometimes they're emotional. They have their ups and downs.
Yep.
And this software is able to capture every mistake that like any kind of salesperson makes in the call. And it writes you a report on what you could have said differently, where you went wrong, where you missed opportunities for persuading that prospect through the sale. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, managing a sales team, like let's say you do call reviews once a week. Mm-hmm. You're going to catch that problem from that salesperson a week later. Let's say you do it once a month later. And let's say you have AI who can capture it within seconds after the call.
Yeah.
Think about how many...
It's immediate feedback.
Think about how many mistakes that you can avoid over the next week, month, or whenever you're doing your call reviews. And it also makes management so much easier because if you're managing a sales team, you have to listen to calls and do role play. That's hours of phone calls. Because it takes us minimum on our closing calls is a half an hour. A lot of times it's an hour because they're selling their most important asset, you know?
Yeah. It's not a 5-minute sale.
It's not a 5-minute, hey, here's your offer, sign it right here on the dotted line. It's like a half an hour to sometimes, I've been on the phone for 3 hours before making these closing calls. So anyways, all that stems back to is like, it's easier on the management and it's more, you're able to avoid mistakes a lot quicker with this AI software.
That's interesting. So give me some language example. If you've got one off the top of your head, like if the sales, give me an example.
Language example of like
AI correcting to say like, hey, that sales call could have been better. Is it saying like you said this and you should have said this?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically it's like, it'll give you like a typed out like 3-page report and it'll tell you like what you did good on, what you did bad on. But to answer your question, basically it's like, for example, we do these things called labeling statements. Sounds like, it seems like, it feels like. And this goes into 3 aspects, and it's aspect of their identity, and it's also a brief summary of what they said, and then, like I said, a labeling statement. So it sounds like it seems like, it feels like. So if you were in a sales call,
was that from Never Split the Difference?
Yes, Chris Voss.
Yeah, I was like, I know that.
So basically, like if you were on a sales call and it's super easy to accept surface level questions or answers from these prospects a lot of the times because they're angry and emotional. I mean, they're having to sell their house sometimes in desperate situations. So they could just be like, I'm downsizing. If you don't dive into that, you don't know how to give them a customized solution to what they're looking for. And if the sales rep just accepts, oh, okay, well, how soon are you looking to sell? You just missed a whole opportunity. I would say something like, okay, when you say downsize, that means a few different things to people. What does that mean to you? And they're like, well, I'm looking to downsize because the maintenance on the house has been super hard to keep up with. I have, some kind of medical issue that doesn't allow me to keep up this big house. My family just moved out. It's just me in this huge house. And it's really, every time I go outside, it affects my medical issues, therefore making me to go to the doctor more. Medical bills pile up. Right there is your motivation. Dig into that motivation. And on the AI bot that we have, if you don't dive deep enough into that, it'll call you out and say, hey, you could have said this instead of just accepting that surface level question or answer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so cool it does that.
And it's cool because like, I don't have to do that. It's doing that for me. All I have to do is look at the report and go to the salesperson and be like, you could have done this, this, and this. It's like, yeah, I know. I read the report. Next call. Now he corrected it. And now it's not, we corrected that problem right there. Not a month later.
Yeah, so you miss all of that. So do you think there's going to be a world where it's live? So like they're in front of a prompter and the AI is like actively listening to the call and they're like, hey, ask about this right now.
Probably. AI is crazy. I wouldn't put anything past AI. But that's definitely something I think is in the works. But I think on top of that is more AI companies are working towards AI bots. To where these AI bots are making the calls for you.
Yeah.
And that kind of comes back to a morality thing of like, I would never dehumanize a company to where it's just nothing but AI robots.
Right.
Also, if you're on my team, I'm not going to replace you with an AI robot. I feel like I have to say that.
Noted.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, that's just, I think there's so much potential in AI. And I hope it doesn't go too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it sounds like so far from how y'all are using it, all those prompts are doing is helping you build a more personable relationship with that person, right? Instead of just
Exactly.
sounding like, hey, you're just another person on my list, just trying to get you to check the box to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's dive in and let me get to know you. And I mean, it's business. It's relationship business is what it is. It's a shorter sales cycle than a lot of businesses, but it's about building the relationship and the trust with those people so you can solve their problem, right?
Exactly.
And that's what it sounds like. The AI is just there to support that, to make you better at that. Not necessarily, right.
And just catching those issues, just catching those problems that come up. Like salespeople get lazy.
Mm-hmm.
AI's gonna be like, hey, you missed us.
Yeah.
And it's gonna let you know immediately.
Yeah.
And that's what I really, really like about it.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so how you do a lot of business. How about monthly, yearly? Like, what are y'all? How many houses are y'all going through?
We're planning. This year's been a little bit rough, just because, at least the first part of the year, just because of our marketing, and we had a website crash that we didn't really know about until it was kind of too late. So we had to find, anyways.
Yeah.
Google Ads is a whole rabbit hole that I can get into. But as far as the number of houses, so we plan on, I think it's like 8 deals a month is what our goal is right now. And our goal is 8 deals a month at $20,000 per deal, resulting in $160,000 in revenue, which is going to get us to our goal by the end of the year. So we break our goals down between quarters because, humans, you've read EOS, humans kind of like get off track every 90 days. So we set rocks. It's every 90 days.
So you got your rocks?
Yeah, rocks. So we set 90-day goals. And if we're hitting those goals and we're making sure we're tracking them on a weekly and monthly basis, it's almost impossible to not hit your goals unless you have some kind of marketing, sales, or some kind of problem that you can identify.
Yeah. Do you back those goals down in actual daily activities?
Yes.
Here's you got to make 100 calls a day because that's going to produce this close or whatever the number is.
Yeah, I don't know if it's more of like making a certain amount of calls. It's more of like, I think our most granular metric that we track is number of leads. So we try to get 40 leads within a span of a week. And we know that we're going to contract with this sales process. 1 in 10 leads to a contract, 4 contracts a week. That's 16 contracts a month. We plan on a 50% fallout rate. So that's going to be 8 closings per month. Yeah. Like I said, just goes into our goal. But to answer your question, like the most granular metric we track is probably number of leads. We track talk time because you're not closing a deal unless you're talking to them for 30 minutes or so. Yeah. But I don't know if that answers your question. I can just go into a whole rabbit hole with that.
Well, no, I love that because it just goes back to the structure that you are, and you know what the lead measures are, right? So many people just measure backwards and look at the lag measures of just saying, oh, we didn't hit it this month, let's try again next month, but not really diving into, well, what's the cause of that, right? And so you're controlling the input, you're being proactive and not just reactive to the output.
Exactly.
Right? I think so many business owners don't operate that way, and then they just run in circles for years.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's huge. Okay. How is it Alabama, countrywide, worldwide? How big does that reach go?
Mostly the Southeast and the Midwest. I think we're in 13 states right now.
Okay.
There's some companies that go nationwide. It's tough to do because there's so many regulations out there and laws that can get you in trouble if you don't know about it.
Because there's state-specific laws?
State-specific laws, yeah.
Okay.
There's really no nation-specific laws. I don't think there is any, actually, for wholesaling. But there's definitely state-specific laws. So we stay in states that we know of, just to give you like a brief list. Alabama, Georgia, Michigan. We love Michigan. Kentucky. Let's see, what else? New Hampshire, the northeastern states, Ohio, Indiana, and places like that. There's a lot up there in the Northeast that we hit, like New Hampshire, New Jersey. Those markets are really hot up there too.
Why do you love Michigan?
It's kind of like a Birmingham almost.
Really?
There's a lot of like we love the smaller markets. We don't really like the Tampas too much because they're so competitive. But like the markets, I don't want to give away all the sauce, but
sure.
The smaller markets in Michigan is like, we look for an average sale price of like 200, 250,000. That's where most of the wholesale deals are most profitable and like easier to do the deals in. And also it's just a wholesale friendly state. There's no regulations against wholesaling. There's some states that are non-disclosure states where you can't see the comps of what they sold for. Michigan is not one of those states. Yeah. So that is, it's just all around, and it's a we look for days on market as well. So the days on market per market over there, per city, is usually around 30 to 40 days, which is super hot.
Mm-hmm.
Birmingham is about, I think, 51 days right now.
Yeah.
So
how do you decide when you're looking at growth, always looking to get bigger, and it sounds like next couple of years doubling the team size?
mm-hmm.
How do you decide, do we want to grow in a market we're already in, or do we want to go into a new market?
That comes back to marketing, and marketing is such a different beast. I don't understand as well as I should have, or as well as I should. I have someone running my marketing right now. Mm-hmm. But basically, you kind of track your marketing. Like, if you're trying to get X amount of leads per week, let's say you're at 10 leads per week and you want to get to 40, and you want to stay at a specific cost per lead. So our goal is $150 cost per lead. Mm-hmm. Now, if you, with your marketing, with your budget, if you're spending that budget and hitting $150 cost per lead, and you try to start like going in other markets, that can really jack up what your cost per lead and mess up all your metrics. Mm-hmm. So it really comes down to like, what are you willing to spend? What's your goals? And then you work backwards from there. Like I know if a lead in Birmingham is going to be a lot cheaper than a lead in Seattle, Washington. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the thing. It just comes down to your business model and what you're looking to do and what your goals are. So whenever you're reaching out to these different markets, it's big on doing your market research, looking at how much competition's in there, because that's going to directly affect how many deals you're going to close, what your cost per lead is, and things like that.
What's the best way to figure out what the competition is?
Like a lot of times you just know, as far as like, if you're in the business, you have a pulse on the business, you know which markets are pretty hot. But if you're brand new, you can go on like Redfin and look up like housing market and type in the city, and it can tell you like it's super competitive. And you can also go in the Facebook groups and see how much activity is in that Facebook group.
Yeah.
And also go on Zillow and look at like all the for sales in that area, and then hit the pending, and then you can see how many are pending in that area. Mm-hmm. So we try to, like I said, go into places that people aren't really specific on, like not the Seattles, not the DCs, but more like the Birminghams and the Huntsvilles and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. And so, and at a certain point, it's saturated, right? And so if you're in Chattanooga and your cost per lead is $150 and you're like, man, this is awesome, we're getting 10 a week, let's quadruple it and start spending 4 times what we're spending on that market, you're willing to do that as long as that cost per lead is staying at 150.
Yeah.
But you don't really, but that's kind of a lag measure, right? Because you're like, well, we've got to run this for 6 months just to see what produces from it. And is that you just kind of got a trial and error, or is there another metric that you can look at? Welcome
to Google Ads marketing. Oh, man. Yeah, so it's kind of the thing. It is a trial and error. Mm-hmm. You learn and you kind of know what you're going to get, but it does take about 7 days to kind of see where you're going to land. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks.
Okay, so that's a lot quicker than I was thinking.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a month. Yeah. You just have to know, like, are you willing to sacrifice those marketing dollars for what you're looking to get? But I mean, as a business, like if you're going to put $1 in and your goal is to get $4 out, then same thing with the Google Ads. If your budget's $100 a day and you're looking to get, like on average $400 a day back, that if that's your goal, then that's your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I don't know that world at all. I mean, the marketing world a little bit, but from a Google Ads standpoint, because it seems like it's shifted a bunch, right? I mean, before, I don't know, 10 years ago, you'd pay to be, or you do SEO to be like, okay, the top of the sheet. But now you've got AI that's dominating top of the sheet. Then you got the sponsored stuff under that. And then if you do all your stuff right, you might be at the bottom of the page, right? So like that, now that's changed. So are y'all one of the sponsored people? Or are you just like implemented into the AI at the top of Google, or what does that look like?
So just to like give a recap on Google Ads, so all the sponsored people, those are people running Google Ads.
Okay.
Everybody below that is like SEO. So it's like people have searched that business so many times that it just pops up. But the Google Ads are always going to be at the top of the page.
Okay.
But yeah, our top of page rate's pretty high. So we're usually top of page in most of our markets. But yeah, to answer your question, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does.
Okay.
So what's your website? Or is it different for every market?
It's the same website it's homebuyersnow.house.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just keywords of like people in Birmingham, if they have, I want to sell my house, then it just pops up. How does that work?
Yeah.
Teach me how Google Ads work. I really don't know.
So basically, it's like Google Ads Google Ads is AI.
Okay.
It's an algorithm, and basically what you do is you have to have a landing page, and you build out the copy, which is basically what you see on Google. So we target specific areas, let's say like Birmingham or Jefferson County, and we highlight those areas. And so when a seller goes in and like sell my house fast, Birmingham, Alabama, we pop up at the top of the page. They click on it, they put their information in, and then we go through our sales process.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of from a 30,000-foot view. You you bid on it, and you got to kind of know like what you need to bid for that market, and then you put that bid out there. You track your metrics in Google Ads, and then from there you start getting leads that coming in. You start tracking your cost per click, cost per lead, and you make adjustments from there.
So to be at the top of the page, you've got you and 5 other wholesalers who want the top of the page in Jefferson County. It's just who's willing to pay the most to be at the top of the page.
The top bidder is usually going to win the most, but it's also like the page speed of your landing page. If you have a super slow landing page, everybody knows these days we have an attention span of like this much because we all are like TikTok brains and whatever. But if you have a slow page speed, but you're bidding the most, like someone's going to click on your website and they're going to be like, this is taking forever, back out. That immediately drops your optimization score. So it's a factor of a bunch of things. It's like your page speed, your bidding, the quality of the photos on your ads, the actual copyright, the copyright is just a fancy word for what you're saying in the ads, and things like that. So it's just a number of things to answer your question.
And that's all real-time AI is judging all of that all the time and just moving you up and down.
All the time. And that's why you have to be on top of your marketing, because you can be in Birmingham, you could be competing with 3 other wholesalers, and then someone does a podcast and they're like, I'm in Birmingham, it's the best market. Now 15 wholesalers go in, your cost per lead goes crazy, and you have to keep an eye on that, because like if you don't notice that, then you're going to go from like 10 leads in a week in that market to like 4 with triple the cost per lead. Yeah. And if you don't know how to adjust from that, you're not going to be doing as well as you should.
So you use that as an example, but I feel like a couple years ago, Birmingham just got thrown up on the investor map for everybody, and just it got flooded. Yeah. So in that happens, do you just say like, all right, well, I just got to continue to pay more and more? Or you just say, you know what, this is going to calm down in 3 months. I'm just going to back off, and then just put money somewhere else and come back to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly right. So we try to stay in the market, and if it's going to bid us out, we're just leaving that market and coming back in 3 months. Florida is a big. That literally just happened to Florida because all the hurricanes, all the insurance, right? The market slowed down. There's a lot of competition. We just completely pulled out of Florida because there's so much competition. And also, a lot of the sellers haven't realized that the prices are dropping drastically down there because insurance companies are jacking up their rates, and therefore makes it less affordable for homeowners to buy, so driving down the prices. Yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, we just usually pull out and then just come back in a couple months.
Man, that's wild. Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about the disposition, because having a list of buyers, like that's kind of the if you don't have that, then what good is it? You can get all the contracts you want, but if you can't assign them, then what can you do? Is your dispo team, take Michigan for example, you've got 3 markets in Michigan if you're working, do they have a build out list every single market, or is it more like a PE group or something that's just like, I don't care where it is, if the deal's good, we'll buy it in the country, or is it both? So
there's multiple disposition methods that you can use. Number one is like there's Facebook groups. So you can go on Facebook and post a deal. You can be brand new in a market, go on Facebook, post a deal, and that's free marketing. Yeah. And then you can get in the more expensive softwares like Investor Lift, and like they're like 15, sometimes 50 grand a year just for a membership. Yeah. And so that's another method. That's where like all the buyers who any wholesalers ever used in that market, you can tap into that buyers list and send deals to them through that software. So there's things such as like Facebook that's free. You can even, sometimes if you get permission from the seller, you can even list them on the market. Yep. And then also, like I said, off-market things like Investor Lift and softwares like that. And also you can skip trace, which is like also a less expensive way to find buyers. And you can basically go in and call like, hey, I got a deal in, let's say, Kalamazoo, Michigan. This is the numbers. I saw you bought this one down the street. This is the same numbers. You interested? And I mean, 8 times out of 10, they're going to say yes. Yeah. If they're buying in that area. Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. I'll probably get 3 to 5 calls a month from a wholesaler because they saw I was the listing agent or the buyer's agent on that street.
Mhm.
Hey, I've got one around the corner from you. Was your buyer an investor? Does he want something else over here?
Mhm.
And that's beneficial because if it is an investor, I'm like, actually, yeah, like they would love to get that.
And that's what's cool about the relationship between wholesalers and agents, because wholesalers and agents don't usually like each other, but it can be mutually beneficial. Like
Yeah.
if you had an investor that bought that house and you listed it, you just made a commission on the front end, you're making a commission on the back end.
Right. Yeah.
That's what's cool about it.
Well, that's true. I think a lot of agents don't realize what the opportunity is, and they see it as like, oh, well, they're just out there taking business from everybody. It's like, well, no, because like sometimes it's not always money motivated, right? A lot of times it's probably not what you see. It's just it's timing or a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. I mean, a lot of it is just solving people's problem. It comes down to just solving people's problem. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, like, we ask in our sales process, why did you not list with an agent? Usually like timing, they don't want to deal with showings. We're giving that convenience factor of what they're looking for, because money's not everything.
Right.
Just like in life, money's not everything. Like sometimes it's just like solving their problem, getting them out of a situation, or just a lot of people just enjoy privacy, and they're willing to take the hit on the price for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of it.
Okay. All right. Before we get out of the wholesaling talk, so next step is replace yourself as a closer.
Yes.
And back out a little bit. You have a kind of a time goal on that when that happens?
Hopefully in the next 30 days.
Oh, so very soon.
Very soon. That's why I was saying, if you know someone,
we're looking.
Let me know.
Okay.
We're hiring, so we're on a hybrid model right now, which means that we're like 90% virtual, 10% in person. So we'll meet once a month in person. We're going to start doing that. I had this big dream of like having an in-person office, this big team or whatever. I feel like that kind of stemmed from ego. And now it's just lean and mean, and just having really good talent. So then the next 30 days, yes, I'm looking to hire myself out of that position.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the next hire after that?
Probably just adding more acquisitions and dispo. So we take it as like, if we realize that an acquisition is getting overloaded, they can't handle that many leads, we're going to try to make that hire before that happens. So it's kind of just a case-by-case basis. Like if I have a one-on-one meeting with my acquisitions and he's like, I'm overloaded, like I need help, we're going to make another hire. Same thing with dispo. So just basically just adding more to the teams, hiring transaction coordinators, whatever we can do to assist those closers and those disposition managers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anyone else on your team in Birmingham, or are they spread out everywhere?
So there's 3 people in Birmingham, including myself. The other 2 are virtual.
Okay.
Or like outside of Birmingham.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. So 5 years from now, what does it look like?
5 years from now, and like this could change so quickly, as far as like revenue wise, or like what the team looks like.
Yeah. What does the business look like? What are you doing?
Business looks like I'm in the owner's box. I'm not in the day-to-day. Just like you said, I'm not like on the calls with the sellers. I'm more of like solving problems day-to-day. Probably have, for the revenue goal that we're looking at, probably have anywhere from like a 10 to like 12-man team. And revenue-wise, we're looking at anywhere from like 5 to 6 million. We try to do like 55% margins, which is high. But if we can run this thing like efficiently, like I said, lean and mean, small team, high revenue numbers, that's basically what it would look like. But the biggest thing is stepping out and being able to invest in other businesses and other things like that. I just feel like I can be most valuable not in the day-to-day, and helping my team members learn new things and things like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
What do you, 5 years from now, what do you see the industry do?
See a lot more regulation coming, especially with this AI stuff. Regulation is going to hit AI really hard, just like Airbnb. Like, there's already regulation coming in, but as far as just the business as a whole, I feel like a lot of people are going to be chased out of the business because a lot of people got in with no barrier to entry. Right. Like there's some states that are requiring you to have a real estate license. That's why I keep mine active.
Really?
Yeah.
I know.
So you have to have a real estate license, run every deal through that kind of process. It'll make it more difficult, but it's going to weed out the people who are not serious about the business. Yeah. So a lot of fallout is what I see.
Man, I see regulation coming in, weeding out realtors as well, right? Because they're regulation and just change in the industry. A lot of that is with technology as well, because I don't know what the average age of a realtor is, but it's a lot older than me. And so anytime there's something new coming in, you've got to learn a new process or learn a new system or go paperless, a percentage of them just dip out. They're just like, you know what? I'm good. And you also got to think a lot of the agents aren't majority of the agents in the industry are not it's a second job, or it's like they're not the breadwinner of the house, right? And so it's while the money's been good, and they're not as dependent on it as other industries.
We saw a lot of that fallout after COVID. I mean, you could have a heartbeat and sell a house back then, as everybody wanted to be an agent.
Yeah.
And
well,
we saw
you didn't have to work; you just listed it, and it was sold in an hour.
$50,000 ever asking.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Miss those days.
Man, it's been interesting because the past 12, 18 months, I've actually, I mean, I say this jokingly, but kind of serious, like learn how to be a listing agent again, because you really did. I mean, besides, the random anomaly house that actually did sit for more than a couple days, you didn't have to really work as a listing agent, right? I mean, because the house kind of sold itself because it was the only one available.
Right.
Now, like you said, the average days on market's over 50, depending on what submarket of Birmingham you're in, and you're actually having to maintain that listing and prep it and be a listing agent.
Actually do the job.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's weeding a lot of people out too, because it's like, like so many got in right before COVID or right after that they now are like, I don't know what to do, or hey, this is actually hard.
Yeah.
And so
I actually had to do my job. What?
Yeah. And I don't need it. I was just doing it because it was easy money. So a lot of people are exiting as well, but those that are sticking around and succeeding are either, hey, they were here before that and they know how to, or they're willing to actually grow it as a business and build a team and do it just like you're doing it, and take it seriously. So
that's the thing, is just a commitment to business. Like I'm in business for decades.
Yeah.
Like I'm not in this thing to make a bunch of money in a year and go buy a Lambo or something. Like
right.
business is going to be my life. Like that's going to be in it for decades.
Yeah.
Like, and that's something that I feel like some people lack. Just setting that expectation up front of like, if you're going to do this, like you got to commit to it.
Do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't have to do it. You're going to be all in.
And it's going to be a struggle, but it pays off.
Yeah. Yeah, I commit. I love it. All right, cool. Let's switch gears, kind of going back to races and fitness. I feel like we're kind of in the same vein of what we enjoy and trying to do just overly extreme things that are probably stupid, but
bad for your body.
yeah. You just got labrum repaired or rotator cuff. What, you were in a sling last time I saw you?
Yeah, it was a labrum repair. It was the second time I got it. Hopefully the last time.
Yeah. Okay. Are you fully back now? Still, where is it at now?
I just got cleared on Wednesday.
Okay.
So 2 days ago.
All right.
Yeah. Or sorry, a week ago.
A week ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So what, you got Buster Britton, the triathlon in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
What else? Have you signed up for anything else?
So my goal this year is to do a race just about every month. I've just now gotten into triathlon training. I used to just be into running.
Yeah.
And triathlon just really, like, the idea of an Ironman really always stood out to me.
Yeah.
And it's just it was such a huge monumental goal. And I just always was attracted to it. And so in August I have that triathlon. It's an Olympic level triathlon. And then the next month after that, I want to do the Marine Corps Marathon up in DC.
Okay.
And then after that there's a half Ironman in Augusta, Georgia. So I want to do that.
Okay.
And then next year will be the full Ironman in Panama City.
What part of the year is that?
It'll be in May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's training season.
Yeah. Full training season.
So what does training look like for that? I mean, you got races that'll hit kind of training benchmarks, but day to day, that's a lot.
So for those of you who don't know what a triathlon is, it's basically a swim, a bike, and a run, typically in that order. So day to day, it's usually, I try to do my running and biking in the morning because it's super hot in the evening in Alabama. And in the evening will be like a swim. So basically, like, morning will be like an 8-mile run, and then I'll do my work during the day, and the evening will be like an hour swim session or something like that. Wow. But just breaking that down into like daily goals, weekly goals, and making sure you're just putting that in every day. I have fun doing it, honestly. I'm not like, some people are like, how do you run? Like, you must, like, I hate running. I don't love running. I like running sometimes, but I just love the result and like the feeling that you get from it.
Yeah.
And I get asked that question a lot. I just feel like that needed to be said.
I get that too, because it's like, why in the world would you ever do that? It's like, because it's hard. Right?
Exactly. I love the challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Now, I don't love running.
Yeah, right. I don't think most runners love running.
Yeah, no one does.
Yeah.
If they say they do, they're lying. Swimming, your shoulder will let you?
It did. So I was at Oak Mountain last weekend, and I was kind of nervous about it. My doctor said keep it easy.
Yeah.
But I did a half-mile swim freestyle in the lake at Oak Mountain.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you training mostly for swim?
I got a membership at the YMCA
Okay.
in Homewood, so mostly there in the pool, mostly there in the pool during the week, and then the weekends I'm always trying to get outside. So I'm at Oak Mountain. There's some lake somewhere, and getting like a run, bike, and a swim in.
Man,
It's like a mini triathlon like every weekend.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
What does the buildup look like, right? Because you just add miles every week, or do you have some off weight taper weeks? What does that look like? Or do you have a set training plan you're following?
I just got a set training plan this
Okay.
week. So previously what I was doing is basically just going off of how I knew how to train,
Yeah.
which is kind of like gradually going into it. So like one week I set like a certain amount of mileage I want to do per week, hit that. Next week up it a little bit. And then some weeks I'm training like aerobic training, so like zone 2 training, trying to keep my heart rate below 155. But I have never really specifically trained for a race properly. I have literally every race that I've done, marathons, half marathons, Spartan races, everything. I've just ran every now and then and just signed up for the race, not really ever preparing for it.
Yeah.
So this will be my first time actually preparing for races.
Which is insane because you flew everything I've seen you do. You fly through it. So now that you're actually prepping, like you're gonna crush this Ironman. I'm excited to see how it goes, and then
Yeah.
I'll put one. It's never been on my radar. I've done the Buster Brent a couple times.
I was gonna say you should do one. You should do one too.
Well, so
If you got the time for training at least.
I mean, if it's a priority, I can make time, right? It's
Yeah.
just what you make it. But so I just had the whole blood clot arm, lost my rib thing.
That's right.
And I had to go back. So after the procedure, I was working out, and every time I would do upper body or like chest, shoulder stuff, my right arm would still swell a little bit for about an hour, and then it'd go back down. Never hurt. It just kind of did. And I was kind of we became friends, texting my doctor kind of throughout the whole process. And every single time I would say something, not about that, but just about like, oh, this hurts or whatever. He's like, quit being a baby. Like, you're fine.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Like, I was more worried about injuring something else because I was like, can I do this? He's like, yeah, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never really said anything. Then finally, he was like, hey, how's everything going? I mentioned it. And he was like, that's actually a big deal. You need to come in. I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And so anyways, he ended up having to go back in that little hole and ballooning the vein back up. It was like getting crushed with scar tissue.
Was that recently? Like after the surgery?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
But it was, I mean, I was home by 10 a.m. Like I was in and out. It wasn't a big deal.
Nothing big.
I was under light whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So not a big deal. But I was like, hey, this was kind of annoying to have to come back. Like, am I going to have to come back again? And he goes, all he does is this procedure. Like that's his niche.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, in all the years I've done this, I've only had 2 people ever have to come back to do anything else. And I said, okay, that's pretty low. And he goes, those 2 people were like semi-professional swimmers. And he was like, that overhead movement is just aggravated it. And he was like, so just don't do that. And he said it jokingly, but I was like, now all I want to do is go do an Ironman.
Yeah.
Like, I just ordered new goggles because I'm like, I want to swim now. Like, he told me I can't.
Yeah.
Which is a character flaw.
That's just
Kind of
that.
like,
Well, I don't know. That's just the mindset you have. That's awesome.
He told me I can. Now, like, that's all I want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I want to kind of get it back because I grew up swimming. Like that's when I've done the Buster Britain, like the swim is my strength.
Okay.
Like I'll come out like in the top 1% of the water, and then just everyone will smoke me on the other stuff. But like that's where I'm very comfortable in the water. But now I'm like kind of worried if like my arm's gonna fall off if I do a stroke one time or something.
I'm the same way. Like on my arm when I was doing that swim, especially freestyle,
Yeah.
I mostly because I did a lot of swimming in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Most of it was breaststroke and combat side stroke, which is nothing like freestyle. Freestyle is not super efficient as far as a stroke and when you're swimming. But whenever I'm swimming, it's like I'm always like, oh, if I do this wrong, I'm gonna tear it again. I'm gonna be back
Yeah.
because it was a 3-month process.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do anything for the past 3 months. I worked out legs and like I did not realize how much I relied on fitness to like keep my mind straight.
Mm-hmm.
And like the past 3 months were kind of like a struggle because I was like, I just want to go do this so bad.
Yeah.
Like to put it in perspective, I've only had like the feeling 3 times in my life. One, when I knew I was going to join the Marine Corps, like that's all I thought about. 2 was when I started in real estate, like I was obsessed, and now this is 3. And it's like it's all I can. Obviously, my business is a priority, but
Right.
like this is just something I cannot get off my mind until I do it.
Yeah.
And it's just 100% commitment to it. But it's also like I gotta have that self control where I'm not going in to hurt myself.
Yeah.
My doctor was like, I do not want to see you in here again. This is the second time. If you have to do it a third, it's going to really mess your shoulder up.
Yeah.
So I actually almost took a dive during that race that we did the past weekend.
Yeah, you told me you fell.
I fell like 5 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Still half asleep.
Yeah, pretty much. No water or anything.
Nice.
As a part of that.
Well, cool. Well, man, thanks for being here. We'll get wrapping up. Before we do, are you listening to any podcasts or reading any books that are just you want to give a shout out to?
Yes. Well, I've been diving into like a lot of sales and then also like this AI stuff. But biggest thing is I've been listening to a lot of Ian Ross and Steve Trang. They're two huge sales trainers in the real estate industry.
Okay.
And I've learned a ton from them. I can't say enough good things about them. They've helped me a ton. I'm in their mentorship as well. Reading books, Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss. Love that book.
Yeah.
Traction.
Yeah.
Gino Wickman. That is the most actionable book I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
And that's really helped me step into like this kind of leadership role, running a team. So between those 3 things, it's really changed the way I do things, especially this year and moving forward.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If people want to find out more about you, where can they go?
Instagram's probably the best place. My Instagram handle's Erik_Schaefer 14.
Cool.
I'm on there. I'm going to be more active. I had to kind of turn it off recently just to focus on getting the business back in place. But I'm going to be more active on there, especially when this comes out and the Ironman training starts coming into full effect.
Yeah. You should track the Ironman progress, like the training.
Yeah.
Do it. That'd be really cool to follow.
That's what I'm looking to do.
Give like a, I don't know, first Friday of the month update on like, here's what my training was last month. Here are my splits. And I don't know. Have like some kind of cadence to it so people can follow along.
And it's cool to look back at that, like documenting that. Because you can see like how far you've gone, especially from a shoulder surgery. Because I'm super slow right now.
Yeah. Well, looking at last year, because when we did that race together, I was like, that was the peak of my like performance. I was training for that long thing in September, and so like that was the peak. And so now running that and then running this one a couple weeks ago, and I was like, geez, I mean, literally 30 minutes slower. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah. That was so funny because I remember when you passed me. Like
Really?
my legs, like I said, I'm not ever prepared for these races. My legs were completely seizing up. I remember you run past me like, come on, bro, we're almost there. And I was like, who is that guy? I look at the stats, like I said, a year later.
Yeah.
I was like, you beat me by like 32 seconds. Yeah.
It's just right there. Jeez. Awesome. Well, man, thanks again for being here. This was fun. Looking forward to catching up soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me.
See ya.
Yeah.